Next up, and banks still really love Bitcoin because we get this news every single day. Morgan Stanley's global strategist has made a case that Bitcoin is making progress towards replacing the US dollar. I repeat, Morgan Stanley's global strategist has said that Bitcoin could potentially replace the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. He said, "Do not assume that your traditional currencies are the only store of value or mediums of exchange that people will ever trust." Morgan Stanley Investment Management Chief Global Strategist and Head of Emerging Markets, Ruchir Sharma, published an opinion piece in the Financial Times on Wednesday. He explained how Bitcoin is making progress towards replacing the US dollar and becoming the world's reserve currency. The Indian investor began by recalling when 19 happened. He said the US dollar was the world's reserve currency, noting that it has been one for 100 years, while other previous reserve currencies lasted about 94 years on average. Interesting, fiat currencies tend to usually have a lifespan of around 24 or 27 years on average, and a lot of them have completely collapsed. There's also links to the time frame because the US dollar became a fiat currency in 1971, which around the time in the early 2000s is when we were getting news and indication that other currencies are trying to make other banks or other reserve currencies not tied to the US dollar, simply pushing the US dollar to the side. Didn't work then because the US was able to kind of go to their offices and be like, hey, no. But they can't do that to Bitcoin because Bitcoin doesn't have an office. That would have been reason to question how much longer it could continue. But for one caveat, the lack of a successor. And then he basically goes on. I don't have to read the entire thing. Here's the most important part. He said, but a new class of contenders is emerging. Cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin are being pitched by their champions as decentralized democratic alternatives. And then it goes on further and further and further. So we're on a good roll. Like 2 or 3 weeks now, every single day. We get rich person news. Rich person hated and then loved Bitcoin, which is what we're going to have in like a couple of seconds as well. And also, we hated it, but now we love it because we know exactly where it's going. Bitcoin banking news. And from 2 banks today. Look at us. We are on a winning streak. Anyway, so JP Morgan thinks that Bitcoin is going to double in price. And Morgan Stanley says that Bitcoin is looking like it's going to replace the US dollar. Okay, let's move on. What's this one? Institutional interest, there we go, in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies continues. A recent report shows that they've purchased almost $500 million worth of Bitcoin in less than a week. CoinShares data has reaffirmed the narrative that institutional investors continue to allocate considerable amounts, $500 million, into crypto assets. Last week was the second highest 7-day period, with nearly $430 million inserted into the crypto market, driving the assets under management to an all-time high of $15 billion on a more micro scale. The week that ended the 7th of December saw a fresh wave of $429 million. Thus, it became the second best week after an all-time high record less than a month ago of $468 million. And it talks about Grayscale. Grayscale is just a monster at this point. They don't really. I wish I could sit in the room with them as they're having these discussions, because the amount of money that's allocated per week is just terrifying at this point. Anyway, so yeah, institutions are, almost said something I can't say. They are arms deep. You know the other word I wanted to say. Into the cryptocurrency space, because it's clear where all of this is